Let us talk about Gavin Newsom and the recall. Now, I've talked about this a few times because Larry Elder was basically denied, and then he fought and got put back on the ballot because I think they're actually afraid that Larry Elder could beat and win the recall gubernatorial election, which I'm grateful for because I like Larry Elder. Now, there is something I don't like about Larry Elder. He did say in a recent interview that he said that Biden won fair and square, and I think that's laughable. I think, if you follow my show and you watch me normally, you'll understand I mean, I've reported on all the different discrepancies that I've found as far as voter fraud. But we'll leave it at that. Let's talk about this first. California Supreme Court decides not to limit governor's emergency powers. So I wasn't actually expecting this when I saw this. They were like, I saw this on Twitter, and they were saying like, Newsom's not going to like this, and then I read it, and they're like, they're not limiting his power. They're actually letting him keep the emergency powers during the pandemic that he had last year, which is interesting. And they get into it as far as why it's not a good thing. And it'll make sense the more you hear about this article. The California Supreme Court has issued a decision to not rein in the governor's emergency powers during the coronavirus pandemic. They decided to leave in place a lower court ruling that kept the governor's power intact, Fox News reported. The justices unanimously denied the petition for review filed by the Republican Assemblyman James Gallagher and Kevin Kiley, without giving an explanation beyond the one-line order. The lawmakers had wanted the High Court to overturn a decision in May by 3 judges from the 3rd District Court of Appeal in Sacramento, who ruled unanimously that Newsom did not illegally usurp the legislator's power with his broad use of emergency powers to make far-reaching policies during the pandemic. Newsom, a Democrat, faces a September 14th recall election driven largely by anger over his handling of the pandemic. Okay, this is my first annoyance with this article. That's not true. Or it's partially true. Yes, people are pissed off about it, but they were pissed off about Gavin Newsom long before the 2020 year. We'll just put it that way. Because there was a lot of messed up stuff that was going on that year. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, Newsom, even the people that are Democrats that I know that were pissed at me for claiming I was going to, and I, of course, went and voted for Trump. But when I first came out and said, I'm going to vote for Trump, they were like, man, that sucks. And I was like, you got Gavin Newsom and you're going to, like, what's your excuse for him? And they're like, no, we hate Newsom too. I know I talk about that a lot, but it's annoying that they say that I guess it's driven largely by anger over his handling of the pandemic, so it's kind of vague anyway, including his unilateral imposing of restrictions such as the nation's first stay-at-home order in March of 2020. Kiley is one of 46 candidates who will be listed on the ballot to replace him as a majority of voters decide to oust the governor in the midterm. Quote, apparently the California Supreme Court has rejected our appeal. No official notice to me or Kevin Kiley from California, but the San Francisco Chronicle already knows about it. Interesting. I want to say more, but I'll leave it at that for now. This is from James Gallagher. Here's another. He continues on. I want everyone to understand what the California Supreme Court passed on. Newsom changing your election laws overnight to 1, shorten the number of days you can vote, 2, eliminate traditional polling places, 3, eliminate the need for publicly noticed meetings with voter rights groups. Okay. This is frustrating for me because all last year, literally all year leading up to the election, I dealt with Democrats claiming Republicans were trying to make it harder for people to vote. Right? I just had something in my teeth. I got it. So Gavin Newsom literally did that. He made it harder for people to vote. Shorten the number of days you can vote, which, I don't know if you know this, the Texas bill that they were filibustering, that they were flying out That's literally what it was doing. It was giving more people to go in and vote in person, right? What's wrong with that? Eliminating traditional polling places. Why would you do that? And I'm curious to find out where these polling places were. Gavin Newsom. Jeez. And then, of course, eliminating the need for publicly noticed meetings with voter rights groups. I wonder why. Why were all these things going down in the 2020 election? I mentioned earlier about those discrepancies, right? Hey, Larry Elder, this is what Californians are pissed about. Did you even notice this before you said those ridiculous words? I'm just salty because I like Larry Elder. Quote, we argued only the legislator can amend law. Can't do that by executive order. It's blatantly unconstitutional. Stutter Superior Court judge agreed with us. The 3rd District Court of Appeal said during an emergency, a governor can change any law on any subject. Legislature can end emergency if they don't like. There it is. If you create an emergency, any governor can change any law on any subject. And that's what he did. That's what I'm assuming a lot of Democratic governors did. Well, it's not illegal. We were in an emergency. We had to change the voting laws to make it easier. And then in parentheses, to make it easier for us to win. It's ridiculous. This is from Kevin Kiley. Judges have consistently failed to hold Gavin Newsom accountable, perhaps because he bashes them by name if they do. It's a good thing Californians have taken matters into their own hands, and that's what they're doing by... why do you think he's being recalled in the first place? Because Californians can't stand Gavin Newsom. The dude is a villain behind a fake smile in a nice suit. I don't even know if they're that nice. He just wears a suit. Whatever. The governor's spokesperson, Aaron Mellon, said the lawsuit was a misguided attack on state law that was signed by former President Ronald Reagan when he was governor of California. It's a law that carefully balances the legislators and the governor's roles, and we're glad that the state Supreme Court recognized that there was no need to entertain fringe legal theories that sought to upset that balance. Fringe legal theories, they're saying he abused his emergency powers to manipulate the law to mess with the elections. He's still doing that by them giving him and letting him keep these emergency powers. I don't know if you know this. He actually changed the date of the recall election, thinking that it would actually help him. I don't think it's going to help him. I don't think it's going to help you, Gavin Newsom. These powers, this is the reason why people are upset with you. Last week, the governor snapped when talking to reporters, saying that everyone not in California who is talking about the state is complaining about it. Granted, he used a much stronger word. He said it would be nice if our hometown team would be focused on what's right. He shouted, everyone outside the state is complaining about the state. Again, that's what he was saying. But, home team, huh? Homegrown team. So the people or the reporters who basically favor you, the ones that will shine a positive light on the things that you do. Is that what you're talking about, Gavin Newsom? Yeah, it is. That is what he's referring to. He wants, just like most of the Democrats, look at Joe Biden. Oh, I've got a list here of reporters I'm supposed to call on. Is there someone from AP News? Yeah, go ahead. Ask me that softball question that I'm going to knock out of the park because I already know exactly what you're going to ask me. Man. He snaps in this. I'm not going to play it, but whatever. And then he goes on to say, you guys have been attacking me. You're the governor. You should be critiqued. You're the one in charge. It's your fault. It's your state. You're supposed to be leading correctly. And if people don't like you and you're doing a terrible job, this is what happens, Gavin Newsom. Surprise, surprise. It's like Lori Lightfoot in Chicago. She's a mayor of her city, and people are upset with her, and she's like, oh, it's 99% racism and misogyny. It's just because I'm a woman and I'm black. It's like, no, it's because you're a terrible mayor. And Chicago has a crazy crime problem, and you're trying to defund the police. We just had a cop get shot, and all the cops turned their back on her because she caused that issue. If that cop had shot that kid, the guy who killed her, she would be under investigation right now. guaranteed, she would be held to the block and people are like, you're the racist for shooting that guy. But instead, she's dead and no one's talking about her. It's absolutely ridiculous. In this, he talks about, look, as he faces a recall election, he stood by his work as governor, saying that Texas and Florida can eat their hearts out about jobs that have been created in California. Really? Because I vaguely remember all these big tech companies leaving your state because of your authoritarian measures. Case in point, Elon Musk. Elon Musk left California. This is a while ago. This is December of last year. He moved to Texas and he took his businesses with him. In fact, he took the very last car manufacturing plant out of California. They don't make cars anymore. I mean, where do we make cars anymore anyway? But it's not California, I'll tell you that. He moved to, I think it was Austin. Yep, he moved his next factory to Austin. And he said here, where does it say? He said it was because of his authoritarian. Oh, here we go. Musk said that he has been planning to decamp from California for months. He publicly clashed with the state's officials who required Tesla's Fremont Gigafactory to close during the first wave of the pandemic in spring, calling the state's lockdowns fascist. Huh? Who's the fascist? Because to me, there's only a few groups that I can consider fascists over the past year. The Antifa, I don't give two craps what their name is. They're the fascists, all right? Black Lives Matter and the Democrats. These are the ones forcing their ideologies down your throat. Look, you do you. Don't force me to believe what you want me to believe. That is not okay, all right? I'm a free man. I'm going to believe what I want to believe. And you know what? All of you are free too. You are free to believe what you want to believe. And that's our rights. But when they're shouting at people, you know, eating dinner and going, raise your fist, or you're a bigot, you're a racist if you don't conform. That's fascism. These people don't get it. Well, Elon Musk left California. Gavin Newsom, hey, he went to Texas. You're trying to bash Texas. And by the way, Biden's making Texas, holding their Texans' hands behind their backs by limiting what they can do with oil production. And in the same sentence, going overseas, begging him to create more oil so we can buy their oil instead? Like, what is this? What happened to green energy? It's ridiculous. Of course, now Biden's coming out. President Biden urges voters to vote no in Newsom's recall vote. Ooh, you know, Biden had no clue what he was saying. You know, Nancy Pelosi called Biden up and said, or whoever speaks to Biden, I don't know who's talking up there, and said, we need to get a hold of this. We cannot lose California. It wouldn't surprise me if California flipped red. There are rumors that it already did flip red. I don't know. You know, whatever. That's neither here nor there. Or maybe it is. But I think California people are pissed off at Democrats. They're pissed off at this forced ideology that people are forced to believe. I mean, they're trying to force mandate all this stuff now, making it on interstate travel. What is this? This is ridiculous. Man, I'm getting huge dips. I don't know why. The analytics are crazy right now on my page. I bet Newsom is that scared. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, Biden calling for people to vote for Newsom is really interesting because look at this. Biden called Cuomo the gold standard for Democrats. I don't know if you heard this. Okay, so hey, Biden, you called Cuomo the gold standard of Democrats? Well, guess what? He just resigned shamefully because of sexual allegations. And I think to avoid getting persecuted for all the many other things that he should be in jail for, right? So you saying, hey, yeah, vote for this guy. Well, you were also saying that Cuomo was your golden boy. I think Larry Elder is the guy to do it. I got a lot of respect for this guy. I don't like what he said, but I think he's playing politics, and he's trying to win California. So if you think about California, right, is traditionally blue. If he had answered the question, because the question was this: a lot of conservatives out there don't think that Biden won. They think that Trump won. What do you have to say about that? And he said, I think Biden won fair and square. If he's trying to win California, I think it's a political move. Okay? I think that's what it was. I think he was playing politics and saying, you know what? The election's over. Let's get this state. We got a state to save. And I agree with him. We have a state to save. I don't like that he said it because I don't believe it. Okay? But then again, I don't believe half of anything that comes out of any politician's mouth. I happen to have, I know a lot more about Larry Elder than pretty much any politician out there, besides probably Donald Trump. And I've followed him personally for probably over a year now. And I've seen a lot of his takes, a lot of his political views, a lot of his stuff. He made that incredible documentary last year called Uncle Tom. A very, very insightful view into the Black conservative life in America. And you really see a lot of real oppression, all right? And people rising up from that. And it's amazing to see it's an incredible American history that people need to see. But I just, I think it's interesting. I mean, we even have California. We got greats like Clint Eastwood. Larry Elder posted this the other day. He said, Clint Eastwood just contacted me with a message of his support. Shout out to Mr. Eastwood. You made my day. That's dope. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that we have some greats that are still based, that are still, I don't know, not lost into it. You know what I'm saying?